We are just a day away from Manitobans choosing their next government. Today is the party leaders' final chance to get their messages out. The race includes Progressive Conservative leader and incumbent Premier Heather Stefanson, New Democratic leader Wab Kinew, and Liberal Party leader Douglas Lamont. So for more on this, we're joined now by Christopher Adams in Winnipeg. He's an adjunct professor of political studies at the University of Manitoba. Professor Adams, thank you so much for making time for us.
Hi, Natasha. Nice to be on your show this morning.
Well, we're very glad to have you, sir. So there's so much to pick apart. Tomorrow, they go to the polls. But let's talk about those 200,000 Manitobans who said in advance, I know who I want to be the next premier. I know what I want for the next government. What do you make of that surge in the voter turnout already?
Well, it looks like there's great interest. You know, as you know, there's a possibility of a government change here in Manitoba from Heather Stefanson to Wab Kinew, but we haven't seen a lot of polling very recently. I would say that Manitobans, very much like Canadians, are very accustomed to doing advanced voting, and it's becoming more the norm. Also, all the campaigns, the NDP, the PCs, as well as to some extent the Liberals, are getting out the vote, the so-called Go TV. And so those folks are getting out because the votes are locked in once they do the advanced voting. So I'm not surprised that Shipra Verma, the chief electoral officer, has declared that we're really we'll probably break records this election. So
with that in mind, clearly there are issues that people care about in the province that's driving them to get out there and vote or campaign. From your vantage point, what are the critical issues of this campaign?
Well, it depends which party you look at. The PCs are talking about crime. They're talking about taxes. They're talking about promoting the economy. The NDP has been laser focused on healthcare, and that's been the case since August. Wab Kinew always speaks on healthcare. The advertisements in the Winnipeg Free Press and elsewhere are focused on healthcare. So it depends which party. And the Liberals have been focusing on a number of things. One thing, Natasha, that we haven't seen much of an issue is climate change. You know, we've had smoke coming in from the forest fires coming into Winnipeg and other parts of Manitoba. It's been a problem here, and climate change has not been an issue here. But the other thing that's been happening is the issue of searching the landfill for the murdered Indigenous women, that we know they're there, and the PCs have advertised that they aren't going to support spending a fair amount of money on that, and the NDP and the Liberals have both said they'll search for it. And the other issue, Natasha, is so-called parent rights, and that is the right of parents to know what's happening with their children in the schools, including changing their gender identity. But so there are a number of issues that are going on, including wedge issues.
There's a number of those things I want to pick up on, sir, but I'm just looking at research from Probe Research Inc. And so they have the top issues that Manitobans are concerned about: crime and poverty, that they favor the Conservatives for, and healthcare and cost of living, which they prefer the NDP for. So does that mean we're seeing really a two-way race?
Well, I think cost of living has been an issue that the PCs have talked on. And as you know, the federal Conservatives have talked very much on cost of living. So no party really owns the cost of living thing. But the issue of climate change is way down in the issue list in Probe Research's poll, as well as two other polls released during August. I would say that the healthcare one that always seems to rank very high. And the PCs have really campaigned on tax cuts, but everybody knows the PCs have been cutting taxes over the past number of years, and I don't know how much of an impact that would have on swing voters. The other thing, Natasha, as you know, the parties, at least the NDP and the PCs, are well equipped with financial resources to do their internal polling. So you can bet that all their advertisements and platforms are geared towards what they're seeing in their private polling.
Could we return to something you brought up, sir, which is this ongoing issue about the Winnipeg area landfills and the very high likelihood that 2 Indigenous women's bodies are there? And we've seen Heather Stefanson not only say, no, I'm not doing it, but publishing in a newspaper essentially an ad saying, no, we're just not going to do it. So how much of a factor is that going to play in what happens tomorrow?
So Pro Research released a poll in the Winnipeg Free Press a few days ago that shows that roughly half of the voters are supportive of the search and half are not. So it is a wedge issue. As you know, yesterday was Reconciliation Day, and Friday the Winnipeg Blue Bombers played at the University of Manitoba Stadium. And that the road, the main artery leading to the stadium, had that billboard regarding the PC's position on the landfill search. And at the same time, at the football game, there was quite a lot for reconciliation, people with orange shirts. So it's a vibrant issue dividing a lot of Manitobans. And the PCs have just been advertising very recently of vote as you want to, not as people are telling you to. So they're encouraging PC supporters to vote in the secret ballot according to what they want rather than what social pressures might be wanting them to do. So it's a very interesting time, and it's been receiving a lot of concern by people on issues of reconciliation being part of the political arguments in the campaign.
Professor Adams, very quickly, I'm going to put you on the spot
Sure.
and ask you, what do you think is going to happen tomorrow?
Well, Natasha, 31 of the seats are in Winnipeg area of the 57 Assembly, and the polls show consistently show that the NDP is really leading in Winnipeg. So I would say if Winnipeg goes as the polls go, the NDP will win a majority.
Okay, hopefully we will speak to you later on in the week and see if you were right. Professor Christopher Adams, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Natasha. Have a great day.
You too. And special election night coverage begins tomorrow on CBC News Network. David Cochran is going to host the Power and Politics Live from Winnipeg. That all begins at 4 p.m. Central. And coverage will continue throughout the evening. CBC News Winnipeg host Janet Stewart will bring you the results and analysis as soon as the polls close. That live coverage and special begin at 8 p.m. Central.
Thank you for watching the CBC Manitoba YouTube channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe. For the latest breaking news and top stories, download the CBC News app.